You know, when Jesus told parables, gave stories, he always used examples that his audience would understand. The thing is, we don't live a whole lot like they did in Jesus' day. And this particular passage really needs translation. We got to bring it into the 20th century. First of all, he talks about servants. Well, how many of you here have servants? Anybody here, raise your hand, save your servant? I don't see any hands. That's right, because we live in Sterling Heights, Warren, and Fraser in the area. If you want servants, you go to the Points. And I don't mean East Point. They're more like us. Yeah. Well, you see, the people that Jesus is talking to, most of them, though some of them at least, worked as servants. Because he's talking to the lower classes. He's talking to the fishermen, the farmers, you know, the people down below that would gather around him, including people who worked as servants. So they would understand this. They understood what a servant had to do. That's part one. The other part is about the wedding. This is misunderstood as this groom is coming back from his wedding. He's not. It is the wedding day that he's coming back early in the morning. He's coming back from negotiating the dowry. The dowry, fancy old word, basically was the amount of money or land or cattle or sheep given by the father of the bride to the groom. They still do this in some parts of the world, a dowry. And the negotiation is between the groom and the father of the bride. And if you've ever been to this part of the world, you would know, the Middle East to this day, they don't put price tags on things. You negotiate the price. You pick up something, you give them a number, they give you a number back, and you haggle back and forth till you reach a common number. Well, it was the same thing with the dowry. They haggled about the dowry. They basically played a game of chicken because they did this the night before the wedding. If they didn't come to an agreement, the wedding was called off. They put a great emphasis on the dowry. Yes. So here we are, this groom and this father of bride are out there haggling over the price. And they waited to the last minute because both were playing a great game of chicken. The father of the bride is hoping that the groom is so anxious to have his bride to get married that he's going to give in and take fewer sheep or fewer cows or less land or whatever it is. And the groom is betting that the father of the bride doesn't want to risk the wrath of his daughter, and maybe his wife, by holding out and, you know, trying to keep more property or goats or whatever it is they're using for the dowry. That's the game of chicken they're playing. And so usually early in the morning, like 3 a.m. or something, they finally, of the day, they reach into, somebody gives. Or they both just shake hands and they agree in the middle. This is when the groom comes home. This is what he's talking about when the groom comes home and knocks. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds vigilant on his round. He has arrived. He has gotten the dowry. He's a happy, happy person. And who's going to receive that joy? His servants are, because he's going to have his servants recline at table. He's going to make them a meal. And that was the tradition. Once it was done, the servants were actually served. Now, it's interesting, now that we understand what's going on here, what does that have to do with us? Why does Jesus tell them this particular story? Because Jesus, in the story, is the groom. We are the servants. The dowry is the price that Jesus pays on the cross for our sins. And after he has secured our sins on the cross, he comes to us as the risen Lord in sacraments, and we must be open and ready to receive him like a good and faithful servant, to receive his joy, because his joy is our joy, because it is the joy that lasts forever.